Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. What's going on, fam? What's going on? Yo, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all share the video out. We're going to recap our first reparationist rally. Reparations and justice rally. Just to be clear. Sister Riri in the building. I see you, brother Cato. I'm gonna wait for some people to come in. Miss Ali, Jarobi XL, peace. Wait for some of the bros to come on in a few as well. Talk about events. Make sure y'all hit that like button. If you are not a subscriber to the Be the Power channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit that little bell icon next to it so that you could become a part of the notification nation. Islam to Billatoni Lulama Bay. My sister Riri is in the building. I seen Majetti. I think I'm saying that correctly. Peace to the Freedmen already. And we're going to talk about the successful event that we held this Friday. Really, the whole weekend was successful. Y'all son, y'all black said what up from Los Angeles was good. The event itself was successful. It was hot out there. Ooh, sheesh. But I felt that it was it's June in Georgia. It's supposed to be that hot. And one of the things that I said was our ancestors had to brave this sun from sunup to sundown, picking cotton and tobacco and whatever other crops the wicked European slave masters here called white folk made them pick. And that was the wind beneath my wings that day. It upheld me thinking about that. We only going to be out here for a few hours. Think about your ancestors who were out here and had to endure this every single day. The email, I'm going to put the email in the live chat. Matter of fact, you can contact us via the website, usadof.org. I'm going to put that link in the inbox. I'm going to put our Gmail, BTP Livecast at gmail.com in the inbox. So, there were many highlights. And for me, all right, before I get into the highlights, man, just shout out to everybody that came down, man. I was happy to see the faces of so many people that I've interacted with online, and I didn't meet at that conference that we had in 2018. I didn't get a chance to personally meet a lot of those people, a lot of the leaders, like the true leaders, and many of those leaders were the ones that came to the event, and I believe it's what helped it become the success that it was. So it was definitely a great nostalgic event. And I want to give a special shout out to Sister Constance Gregory. She was on it. She called me like a week before. She was like, yo, I'm coming through. I'm bringing the t-shirts, which is what I got on right now. She was like, all proceeds go to the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. And she came through, man. She really came through. Now, I had a snag because I wasn't going to bring this up to anybody. Only the brothers at BTP knew about it, right? That's right.
Maybe you shouldn't bring it up.
On the screen, that was her daughter. It was just a good. It was just good. It was just good. So I had a snag with the GoFundMe because I didn't know that you had to contact them a few days in advance. I thought like any other GoFundMe, it cashes right out, right? No. When you set up a GoFundMe via your nonprofit organization, there's you got to set it up through what's called the PayPal giving fund. And through this fund, it says it's supposed to cash out the 25th of every month. Well, I didn't receive a cash out on the 25th of any month. And so they have to mail a check and all of that stuff. I just got kind of frustrated because I wanted to, kind of do some things, possibly try to rent out something, but everything worked out, man. Everything worked out. So whatever in that GoFundMe account, we're gonna leave that in there because the family is talking about having 1 million reparation this March, this upcoming year. So, stay tuned in for that. That's gonna be crazy. I want to give a shout out to Brother Ty Harper. I mean, at the event, we didn't have our speakers lined up on paper. There was no program. It was a rally, basically. You're going to go, you're going to go, you're going to go. So we had some politicians there that came and spoke. A sister named Khadija Abdul Rahman being one of them. She came through and, they had other engagements. So we kind of went off of our script of how we were going to bring the speakers up. And Brother Ty Harper was organizing that. I mean, he did an excellent job. And I wanted to definitely give that brother a shout out. I finally got a chance to meet Brother Cato. I said, "What's up, troublemaker?" I finally got a chance to meet Sister Dawn, Brother Ibrahim. I mean, me and Ibrahim, like it was conversations going on for like 2 days straight. And me and Brother Ibrahim was just we was getting it in those conversations, man. Like we were not with each other, not debating, just having the discussion, man. It was good to meet Ibrahim. Just like I said, building with people online and then getting a chance to to meet these people that you have grown to respect and have some degree of reverence for. That made my day, man. That really made my day. We had the fam from Clubhouse that came out. A lot of people don't know some of the people from Clubhouse. Brother Todd, aka Men's, was there. A lot of the sisters that was there. Kaz, this one sister, Big Teach, Takora. I'm trying to remember everybody's names. Sister Shayna McGee from Atlanta came through. The brother Rashad Singleton, shout out to that brother. I'm 6'4", 230. I'm usually the tallest brother in the building. This dude is a professional basketball player overseas, but he's been pushing for reparations for our people since 2018. This brother came through. I'm like, damn. looking up at the brother, man, and it was that brother spoke. He went in. All the speakers went in, man. Arthur Ward came on and shut it down. I didn't type up anything. I was like, you know what? I got this. I'm going to wing it. You know what I'm saying? We know all the talking points. Arthur Ward just threw my whole day off in a good way. Arthur Ward came on first and just shut it down. Then Marlon went on after him and just shut it down. Shout out to Arthur Ward, Sister Cynthia, Brother Marlon Watson. The Chicago family definitely came through, man. It was just a powerful event. Powerful event. Brother Cato said every speaker left that microphone smoking, I mean. And my one if I had to like highlight, yes, sister, Arthur was fierce with the detail. I told Arthur, hey man, email me that paper you typed up. Because it was like he said it was a combination of the BETHEPOWER talking points, Dr. Darity, and I believe some of his own research, right? Yeah, is the damn video. Oh, yes, it's on video, Sister Riri. I was so tired last night. I meant to download it. I was going to play it today around 6-ish and then come on and do I was just, the sleep caught up to me. I laid on my couch the lack of sleep, I should say. I laid on my couch last night and I was like, I'm going to get up and go in the room in a few minutes. I woke up in the morning. I went out. Man. So it's on video. It's on Sister Tamara's page. I'm gonna upload it here, and we're gonna still play it on the website. It needs to be shared. It was the pastor by the last name of Slaughter. Shout out Sister Tamara, of course, Sister Tamara Johnson Shirley. There was a pastor by the name of Pastor Slaughter. That was his last name. I can't remember his first name. He got up there and did his thing too. But while we were standing there, peace, Sister Monica, while we were standing there and he was up next to speak, he leaned over to me and said, that term freedmen is so clarifying. It's so specific. He said, there's no doubt who's being talked about. Who is being talked about. And man, listen, it was beautiful, man. Every speaker, we had the sister from Lenintown, Athens, Georgia, who came on and she detailed what happened to her family, who were forced off of the land in her family's land in Athens, Georgia, because of eminent domain. UGA just took their land. And they wouldn't compensate them for that theft. And Georgia has what's called the gratuities clause in their constitution. Y'all heard me speak to this a few live streams back, where basically any like reparations money, let's put it like that, any reparations money doesn't get paid out by the state to the individual who is harmed. It gets paid out to the city that person lives in where the harm happened, and the city basically and ultimately gets to decide how those funds get meted out. We are going to be...
that is so horrible, man. That is so, it's almost like they knew that they were doing dirty and they just wanted to cover themselves in case in the future somebody gets enough financial ability or legal ability, and you're not scared of the Ku Klux Klan or whatever. Like, in case you get enough balls to actually try to bring a claim and that you would otherwise win, even though you win, you still wouldn't win because we're not the people that's in charge of the city that would be getting a chance to appropriate those funds. And man, it's a no-win situation. It's a situation where you would never be able to get justice anywhere outside of the federal government without getting into state power and to the state legislature and the governor's seat to change that. That's the only way that stuff gets changed.
That's right. Cato said, talk about the old people that came on the bus with drinks and snacks. Definitely, man. Shout out to Sister Cherie as well. They pulled up with sandwiches. I was just rushing. I forgot to get the waters. I was standing out there straight dehydrating. I woke up at 5-something in the morning. I couldn't go back to sleep. So I'm like, go to the gym. Then I was like, if you go to the gym, you're going to be wore out. Because I have no appetite the whole day. So I decided I was going to hit my little bench in my crib with my dumbbells. I got a nice couple sets in. That I think I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did that. I was out there on fumes. they Dawn and one brother, I can't think of his name at the moment, they came back with the waters because there was a federal holiday. So Atlanta closed down a lot of stuff. So they had to walk. I mean, walk. I was like, where they at with the waters? I'm out here drying up, and I drunk a shake, a Seymour shake before I left. That's what was kind of holding me up too. But after you drink a shake, you need water. So, Sister Monica says she apologized. She mixed up the event days. Yeah, Sister Monica called me like, yeah, I was like, nah, it was Friday. We already had it, sis. She thought it was Saturday, but it's all good. You know that every one we do from here on out is going to be a little bit more coordinated, promoted a little bit better. Shout out Brother Jaron, Brother Looney. I see you in the chat. Definitely. So, yeah. I was keeping it moving. Hey, let me say, they was trying to disrespect us out there. They had an event that they were setting up for tomorrow, and they were setting up like some big tent. They was making noise, and they was banging at one point. And Ty Harper went and talked to them because I was about to step off, and I'm glad that I'm glad that Ty went over there instead of me, because I got like really angry really fast. Like, they trying to mess up our event. I just got angry in that moment. I see Brother Ty walked over there. He talked to them. I was like, all right, let me chill. Let me just stand right here, man. Sister Riri, shout out Sister Riri. She said, I was great on the Chubb Rock show. Yeah, that really set it off, man. I think that
shout
brother
out
was
to
called.
Chubb, man. Shout out to Chubb.
Oh yeah,
for
definitely
that was a
shout
great
out to
look.
Chubb for letting me come on and do the interview, get the word out. Shout out our family over on the West Coast, putting in that work on AB 3121. I was able to give them a shout out. They're not getting a lot of spotlight for the work that they're doing. So
Yeah,
thousands
AB
of people.
3121, and that the on the commission. We're talking about also, what was that other one that they just had a hearing about today, dealing with making a specific ethnicity, disaggregating race and ethnicity, making so we as freedmen or people that descendants of people who were enslaved have a specific ethnic designation that recognizes that in California. That I haven't heard. I don't know if y'all got an update on that. If y'all want to put that in the chat, but yeah, that's powerful too. I mean, the fact that they worked on that, and understand, like California, that's like the largest. Isn't that the most populous state in the country?
I believe so. The fourth largest economy in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I mean, they can set the trend. A lot of times, California sets the trend for the rest of the country. Stuff gets passed in California, and then you start to see other states, see what happens, and other people start advocating for stuff that California's doing. So,
yeah, man, that was powerful. So shout out to Chubb Rock for giving me that plug. Shout out to my brother Ali for linking that up. Shout out to brother Ali for linking that up, man. You want to say anything, brother Ali?
Yeah, Sister Friday Jones has something going on out there in LA too that I don't know exactly what it
she got appointed. Oh, let me try to remember.
I was retweeting a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
I looked at it, but I'm in the car driving, so I can't really go back to it. But I know it was something really big out there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, man. So it was great. The event was great. We got a chance to really show our people that we're there because we're serious. We're not there because we're trying to build some cult-like following. you know, and I want to speak to that for a minute, because I'm starting to notice, you know, certain people trying to take their little shots, people commenting on Twitter threads that's 6 months old, 7 months old, trying to dredge up old beefs. Y'all are not gonna bait me with that. And I implore everybody to just ignore that stuff, man. Just ignore that stuff. We are moving, you know, we're moving right now. And we've caught the eye of many people. The Black News Channel actually reached out to us. They were going to run the event on their network, but I guess they canceled that. And you know, it is what it is. We are not the establishment, the Black Democratic buffer classes, establishments, cup of tea. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I'm definitely fine with that. You know,
that may be why they decided not to go with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just from certain things, like listening to the live stream, they probably was like, yeah, nah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, this is what separates the right wing from the left wing. Because right wingers hold their rallies and say damaging things, you know, damaging things. There go my sister Constance right there in the chat, who I was shouting out earlier, man. Let me give another super shout out to Sister Constance, man, for coming through. Her and the Baltimore crew. It was a funny story, because I was trying to recruit everybody to move, you know, the Charles Blow plan. Y'all come down south. So everybody, you know, was starting to talk about, damn, I like it right out here in Georgia. I'm about to move down to Georgia. So I'm telling Sister Constance, I'm like, yo, you know, that, you know, the down south strategy, you might as well start making your way down south. She cut me off. She was like, nope, I'm already in one of the 9 states. Remember, Baltimore's in Maryland. I was like, yeah, you right. You got me on that one, sis. You know what I mean? And I was like, you right. That's one of the 9 states. That's one of the 9 states.
Yeah, but it's funny because, you know, I'm in Virginia, right
Yeah,
outside
right.
DC. You know what I mean? People don't look at
That's right.
DC or Virginia,
Yeah, I don't
especially if
look
you're in
at
Northern
up there
Virginia and
as the
Maryland.
South, right?
Yeah. But hey, man, we gonna get into it. We gonna get into it in a little bit. Then when you hear some of the stuff, you're gonna see, well, man, it wasn't too much different.
Mm-hmm.
People, a lot of times people don't think about Virginia and DC, but
Mm-hmm.
man, it's a lot of freedmen history. Like Virginia
Mm-hmm.
is like the foundation of like slavery in America. If you think about it, that's the
Mm-hmm.
first. That's some of the earliest. And if you think about the
She did.
largest,
Yeah, she did tell
wealthiest.
me that. She told me about her Georgia experience. She was like, hell no, I got to get up out of here. I ain't going to share that on the air, sis. She's like, I got to get up out of here. Yeah, my bad, John. Yeah.
Nah, I was gonna say, if you think about like wealthy slave holding, you know, aristocracy, really, almost in America, like the wealthiest, the most prominent people, the wealthiest slave holding people. If you think about it, think about all the presidents. Like, what was the first president? Like, we had a run of presidents that all of these people were from Virginia, and all of them were slave holders, right? All the way up until what, Andrew Jackson or something like that. So, you know, hey, that Virginia, Northern Virginia, Robert E. Lee, when we gonna get into that, he lived in Northern Virginia, George Washington. I mean, right outside of Washington, in the Washington metro area. That's where these people are living, a lot of them. So, yeah, man, up here it's still the South, and it still
Yeah.
has a heavy
It's
slave
crazy.
background.
I don't think of it that way, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hey, look, Sister Tanzania, I hope I'm saying your name right. We even trying to get people out of Texas, sis. I got to be honest with you. We trying to get people out of Texas. We're trying to pull them into even out of Florida, because Texas has a very large Black population. However, in comparison with the other demographics there, we're nowhere near what it would take to reach a majority, you know, and this is where and why most of the times our causes have to get blended with everybody else's causes because we don't have enough numbers. Sister Shayna, from Atlanta shared with me earlier the town hall meeting that they were having, the virtual town hall on gerrymandering and redistricting in Georgia. So everybody that got up was an immigrant or a white person. And if I'm not mistaken, them first couple of speakers were all immigrants. I'm like, this is Georgia. What's going on? They were speaking in opposition to the Georgia's redistricting plans. The one sister, I cut it off after that. I was pissed off. The one sister, you can tell she's a straight up Freedmen sister, got up there and was a representative of the AAPI. Spoke to AAPI issues and how this redistricting would hurt the AAPI. I'm like, what the hell? What am I listening to? I was already bugging out off of the fact that a bunch of immigrants, Hindus,
that's crazy,
Hispanics were the speakers, right? We've been in Georgia most of our lives. How are we not the speakers? How are we not the speakers, right? So, I mean, man, look. Oh, there it is. Sister Friday was selected by the mayor to be on the Reparations Committee. Shout out to Sister Friday. That's a powerful, powerful move. And I want you to come in, Ali. It seemed like you was going to say something, but I want to say one of the things that we was discussing, because everybody's talking about, not everybody, obviously, I'm using that as a figure of speech, saying they moving to Georgia. And one of the things that we talked about was copying what the assembly was doing out there in California. And they're not the only group that's out there that's putting in work. Shout out to Sister Angela Nirvana. Shout out to Sister Tara. Shout out to all of the California family. Shout out to Sister Connie. I'll shout all of y'all out from BETHEPOWER. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Brother Ali? Yeah, you breaking up, bro. Yeah, we can't hear you, bro. Yeah, so it was a great event, man. We all went to the Airbnb afterwards, and everybody came over, and I mean, it was a Freedmen party. It was a Freedmen celebration. You had all type of discussions going on, all from the outside of the crib to the inside. The backyard was popping. It was lit. It was celebratory. It was nostalgia. It was what happens when we as a family come together and we all have an understanding of each other. There's no funny stuff going on. At least I didn't peep no funny stuff. And I usually have a keen eye for stuff like that. But it was just all love, man. It was all love. I enjoyed it. I loved, I was dipping in and out of every conversation. From the outside, it was inside, it was 3-4 different conversations going on. I dip in those, shed some light, then go outside. It was a whole bunch of only conversation I didn't get into was the religious debate that I didn't even know that was going on with Sister Cynthia, Arthur Ward, and a brother named Jerry and his wife that was sitting outside. And that was about it. So yeah, Sister Riri, it was really a nostalgic moment. I felt good, man. Friday, we after the event, we partied basically. Saturday it was mellow. It was more down to business. It was we talked for hours out. When I say hour, and it was just all good discussions. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but everything was basically political and the things that we need to do politically. For those of you who weren't on earlier, we were talking about having a million reparationists march sometime later on this year. Some like logistics on that and see if we can get that done. So, you know, stay posted. Stay posted up with any announcements. Go to the website, usadof.org. Sign up for our email list. I'm going to be doing a lot of, you know, email shouts from that page, from the website. And that's a way for us to stay in contact with each other. Also, a lot of people express that they want to become a part of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. You know, Sister Constance said, all love, bro. My family really enjoyed themselves. That's a fact. You know, the sister's mother was there. She's in the chat right now, matter of fact. You know, I'm not a religious vegan, but when people talk about, so I don't try to convert people to veganism, but when people talk about going vegan, I just start pulling up some of my pictures and let them know, you know, look at that. Veganism isn't that bad. So, you know, everybody enjoyed themselves. The sister, Sister Constance's sister and her son, you know, they enjoyed themselves as well. It was just all love. But I want to explain a little bit before I bring the bros on. You know, let me see. Sister Shanna says we got through the initial California Senate hearing AB 105. I'm familiar with it. I just don't know. I just need a little bit more information. This past week has just been kind of crazy for me. We got a troll in the chat that says there never was an Atlantic slave trade. we got to point the trolls out and laugh at them, right? But I want to say real quick before my bro. Yeah, go ahead, Ali.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
You know what's so crazy about the troll is, do you remember the screenshot I put in the inbox earlier today?
Which one? I can't remember.
It was saying that there was never a transatlantic slave trade and there was never anything called slavery in the United States.
I
Then the
can't
guy
even
said
remember.
the only thing that was here was Jim Crowism and sharecropping.
So Jim Crowism and sharecropping wasn't the graduation of slavery, huh?
No, there was never a transatlantic slave trade, and there was never any slavery in the United States. It never existed.
I got to give a shout out to Chris Lodson. I forgot to give him a shout out on the Chubb Rock joint, man. So let me shout.
Nah, you mentioned him.
I did? Nah, I ain't mentioned Chris.
You sure, man?
I don't think I mentioned Chris.
No,
you didn't. You mentioned Chad. You mentioned Chad. You mentioned Chad.
Yeah, it was Brother Chad. So let's give a shout out to Brother Chris Lodson right now, man. Brothers and sisters out there putting in work. And, and like I said, you know, the people that was talking about moving down to Georgia, they talk about moving to one county and like really taking over some things and patterning ourselves after what the assembly is doing out there. So I want to just say real quick, one of the things that we want to do with the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, just because, you know, we came up with the concept, the name, whatever, the 501c3, we didn't do this because it was some BTP thing that the brothers set up so that everybody could fall in up under us and praise and worship at the YouTube altar of Be the Power. That's not why we did this. We did this because, well, number one, we need a 501c3. And we were supposed to 501c4 Be the Power. We just kind of dragged our feet on that. It's just, you know, it's a bunch of stuff that happened. We just dragged our feet. But we were supposed to C4 Be the Power, I think, in June of last year. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. We're going to still C4 Be the Power. But we did that with the intention that, number one, we would work with every other group. Number two, we would build organization and create an order out of it. It's the one thing that we don't have anymore as a people. We don't have order. Order comes through organization. When we think of organization, we always think of a company, right? Or a nonprofit, if you will, or, some grassroots group. But organizing essentially means getting things in order, right? You organize your linen linen closet, your kitchen cabinet, your paperwork, etc., etc. And these things are placed in order. There's no big I's and little U's here at all. When people expressed that they wanted to become members of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, I was humbled. I was humbled by that. Brother Ty Harper, he was introducing himself as a member of the United Sons and Daughters, a representative of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. So we want to put a council together. No one head, but a council from all of the reparationists. And all of these reparationists that many people revere and respect are the ones that sit on this council. And the council makes decisions collectively. And there has to be an odd number of council members. I'm thinking about 9 because there has to be somebody that breaks a tie with the council. But that's also something that I'm going to work out in the background. I'm talking to, building with my brothers like Grim, that's going to help me sort through some of these things as well as we, draft this thing and put it together. People that have organizational experience, people who have actually been a part of orders. And the way Ty Harper just off a whim organized right on the spot. Okay, boom. He pulled me to the side. He was like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the speakers, every speaker, who coming up next? Boom, boom, boom. Run them down to me. I ran them down to him. He said, okay, so when it's time for them to come up, I'm gonna have them stand here. When they come up, I'm gonna bring that person right. I was like, perfect. Perfect. Because like I said, we had no programs, we had none of that. People that step up and take initiative, leaders. And that's what we're going to create this council out of. And from that, we're going to have a whole bunch of committees and auxiliaries and specific things for the youth. There will be a great sisterhood within that organization. That's not based on the feministic stuff, the feminism, right? No feminism stuff, but based on our core values as freedmen and traditional family units, et cetera, right? So we want to get back into that because this is how you help create order among a people who are in disarray. And our people need that. So I want to just put it out there that if you are interested in joining up with the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, go to the website. I'm going to talk to everybody over the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to put up a membership application. We're going to do this thing for real. We're going to operate as a government so that when we take our place in government, when we run for local commissioner seats, local city council seats, when we run for House rep seats, when we run for senator seats or senatorial seats, when we run for governor, when we run for mayor, heck, when we run for president, we already understand governance at a micro level. That's the vision of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. So I'll see you, Sister Riri. You already know. I ain't even gotta say nothing. Hey, bro, y'all wanted to come in and touch on anything and build on anything. And if, before we get into some of the Freedmen history.
Go ahead, Ali.
Well, I would just say that this is a exciting time for me. Just listening to everything. I wish I could have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're here working on this this restaurant space that we got, trying to make that a real viable thing where we may in the future be able to really provide a way for people to earn a living and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because we want that to be big. So, but that's the only reason why I wasn't there. Otherwise, I would have been there. But it sounded, like everyone enjoyed themselves. I'm glad that you guys did it and touched on the political points, the historical points that you did. I was able to watch it through the stream that Tamara had
Mm-hmm.
and some of what Marlon had put up. So basically, I got to see the whole thing in terms of the actual event. But I think it was a great job. Like you said, next time things will be even more organized and to be even more comprehensive in terms of all of the stuff that gets done. We've already started talking about what you want to do in the future, and you said Dawn mentioned, some things and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh
Looking
yeah.
forward to it.
Oh yeah, man. Let me read real quick because I wasn't clear on the bill. Now, as Sister Shanna put it in the chat, she refreshed my memory. California AB 105. This bill would require any state agency, board, or commission that directly or by contract collects demographic data as to the ancestry or ethnic origins of Californians to use separate collection categories and tabulations for specified African American groups. This bill would distinguish between African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the U.S. and African Americans who are not descendants of persons enslaved in the U.S. as defined.
Excellent.
So that's huge.
Excellent.
California is leading the way in so many categories to give us a
A blueprint.
a blueprint, man. Definitely, Sister Friday is in the building. Peace, Sister Friday. We gave Sister
Peace,
Friday
man.
the crazy shout out earlier.
Yo, man,
We got
that
Sister
blueprint
Cynthia in the
is
building. Go ahead,
crazy.
Ali.
That blueprint is crazy. That needs to be duplicated all over the place. And
That's a
that's
fact.
exactly what we were talking about, is how we have to some kind of way begin to separate ourselves and segregate really, ourselves from other black people. So not just for the the issue of reparations, definitely that
Mm-hmm.
primarily, but also for purposes of distinguishing who it is that's doing what in this country. Because I have an issue with the perception that African Americans, the ones who descend from persons enslaved in the United States, are taking on the heat that is really for other black people. And I'm talking about things like crime. I'm talking about other kinds of issues that appear in amongst black people, certain behaviors amongst our youth, certain behaviors amongst even our women. Because a lot of times people will talk about how our women went from these dignified black women who held themselves a certain kind of way, carried themselves a certain kind of way, and now you have all of these thoughts and hood rats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's something that needs to be taken apart. I think we need to try to figure out who are the thoughts and the hood rats, because I really don't think that that our group of people fell like that, just so far and so deep away from our customs and culture that we had up until the 70s and even into the 80s in certain places.
And you have an interesting theory on that you've expressed on the platform before.
You already know. I ain't got to go into it no further. But anyway, I'm just saying, I think that's an excellent thing, and we do need to start taking apart this black thing and who's who doing what.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's it.
Definitely. Before you come on,
Yeah.
brother,
Oh, go ahead.
before you come on, real quick, I just want to reiterate what I said earlier. I'm starting to notice that there's some people trying to take shots from the old beef, right? On Twitter, they are commenting on threads that are months old. I'm talking about like 6, 7 months old, trying to dredge up old beefs, peel the scabs to old wounds.
Right.
Y'all are not gonna bait me in with that. And family, don't let anybody bait y'all into any of that. We see what our fight is. We see the fight ahead of us. We're real about reparations, and we don't even have to entertain that nonsense and that garbage anymore. Let them people twiddle with their fingers if that's what they choose to do, or with their Twitter fingers to be exact. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Josh.
I was gonna say, and especially people usually do that when they feel like a certain way, like usually like catching an L or something like that, But anyway, um, man, it was tough. It was bittersweet watching it, more sweet than bitter. But my bitterness was just coming to that I couldn't make it out there, man.
Yeah.
It was graduation time. I had my nephew was graduating, man. He can go out the country for a minute. So family. But yeah, man, just that whole thing was beautiful, man. To see how everybody came together, and people were just laying it out on the Georgia state capitol, man. It was just powerful. It was powerful. And people shared some great perspective. The sister that was talking about the what University of Georgia did and that city did out there, man. I thought that was
powerful.
I know I heard that before, but man, I wish we could get
But
her on the program, man. I would love to have a
yeah, no,
conversation with her.
I'm gonna reach out. I'm definitely gonna try to get her on. I want you to continue, but think about this: the brother Rashad Singleton that came on after her, he has a very large platform, right? He's a reparationist. Played college basketball at the University of Georgia, and he came up after the sister and said, had he known about that, he would have not, played there. And he said it's
That's right.
crazy that we have to learn about this type of stuff in our 30s and in our 40s. And I thought that was powerful because he came up right after her. And it wasn't a design like, what? That sister was harmed by UGA. We got a former UGA basketball player that's going to come up after her. It just worked out that way. Because that's what happens when the ancestors are truly behind you. That's what happens, right? So that it was powerful, man. Shout out to that sister. What was her name? I think her last name was Whitehead. Hattie Whitehead, if I'm not mistaken. But her first name is definitely Hattie. I definitely want to get her on the platform as well.
Yeah,
Go
man. I
ahead,
was
brother
gonna
John.
say, just thinking about what that brother said, man. Had I known what they did, I certainly wouldn't have gone there. Now that's just one college. You think that was the only one?
Yeah, right.
You think that? I mean, Georgetown University, they already admitted their role in trading slaves and helping, how slavery pretty much helped them to build their university up,
Right.
keep
Right.
them afloat.
I think
Now
they
that
use
was
slave
they
labor.
came out with that after Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson and Lonzo Mourning, all these brothers, and went there and made them all kind of money, and then they come out after that. Go ahead, what'd you say, Ali? My bad.
I think they use slave labor to help build some of the buildings at that school. Believe
Hmm.
so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about college basketball. What if the University of North Carolina, Duke University, um, Wake Forest, the University of Virginia, y'all know, like, that was the school, Thomas Jefferson set up, and we talked about this on a program before. That was the school Thomas Jefferson set up, and really it was a school for wealthy white, white or Europeans, and their children to go. And in that school, it was almost like, it was like the top of the top wealth class. Like a competition to see how many slaves that um the kids would bring, like who would have the most slaves that they would bring with them to school, you know, like, and how much rape you could do on campus. That was a thing in University of Virginia, but you don't hear them talk about that. See,
That's
if
right.
we had to go through an audit and see what the history is of all of these schools, and they had to put that on, have that conversation, and maybe there was some education. Maybe some of these other maybe some of these kids that would be playing ball there and making them millions of dollars a year would reconsider and go elsewhere, maybe
That's
to
right.
like some OHBCUs. But
That's right.
I didn't want to get into that too much. I wanted to just say, man, shout out to everybody who came through. Man, much respect. And I want to get into some of this Freedman history, though.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I mean, like again, let's recap. The event was successful. It was hot. Boy, was it hot. But it poured down raining the next day. We were all joking that we did a Freedman rain dance so that our event would be the only event of import that Friday and Saturday. Um, Sunday they had this thing at Centennial Park. Ty Harper and I stopped there. We met up with Brother Rashad, and it was a RBG fest. And I want to be clear, right? I'm not. People gonna believe what they're gonna believe, but this Juneteenth thing is not rooted in RBGism. It's just not. It's not rooted in that. It's not rooted in that at all. It's rooted in red, white, and blue. That's what you see with this flag behind me. That's why the designer
Right.
designed it this way.
Americanism.
Americanism. And
It's a
that's
fact.
the problem that we have is that when you take, because I've seen some people out there, YouTube celebrities, conscious community celebrities, who was scared of what I seen them looking like. That's Lord Abbott. And they wouldn't come over to where we was at. I seen them looking. I ain't gonna put nobody on blast right now. A lot of these guys talk a lot of stuff online. Some of these cats I've known for years, but they know that when they're standing next to somebody that knows what they're talking about, they can't get that nonsense off. So they made sure to stay where they were at. They made sure to stay exactly where they were at. So, this thing is rooted in Americanism. And the moment we start moving it outside of that, we start moving it outside of the political spectrum. I stood there and I asked myself, I wonder how many of these people are involved politically. How many of these people are in the process? Because that one brother I'm speaking about, I know he's not involved in any politics at all. At all. So, we are going to grow louder with our voices, our advocacy, and we're going to start the process of taking over. It's just as simple as that. Taking over. So, bros, y'all want to go in and get into the Freedmen, a little bit of the Freedmen history that y'all dug up? Let's go.
Well, yeah. Listen, this is crazy, right? Josh is going to go into the details because, again, like I said, I'm out on the road. I'm driving, so I don't have access to all of the links for the information. But what happened is, um, just going through Freedmen, right? As I was actually looking for the antiquity of the term, the use of the term freedman. Now, the term, because let me say why. Because certain people keep trying to make certain types of arguments against using the term freedman, right? Which is really is kind of like pointless at this stage of the game to try to argue against the term freedman, because as we keep showing people, it was already being used by this government, right? As they began to address the issues of the people when they were being emancipated from Negro chattel slavery. They were dealing with them as quote unquote freedmen and women, right? Obviously, the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Bank, all of these different things, Freedmen's Bills. There was a plea I have right on my wall. I have it as part of my on my Facebook wall. A plea for American freedmen, where they were trying to, where this man named Vaughn was trying to get a bill passed to pay former slaves pensions for the work that they did during slavery. So this idea of reparations for freedmen and women is not a new thing. But I was trying to look up the term freedman and its antiquity, how far back it goes, right? And what you find is that the word freedman, actually you can trace it back to, I think, to Rome, from what I saw in the etymology of the word. Is, you can find this word being used back in Rome as it related to people who were freed from slavery in Rome. So in the United States, they use that term around, pertaining to the people who were being emancipated or manumitted from slavery in the United States. Freedmen. I found a man who was born in the 1700s, who established a freedman town, right? I forget the name of the town, but he established a town because there were several towns established by freedmen around the country. There was a lot of them. And this guy, he actually bought his own freedom, and they call him a freedman. This is before the Emancipation Proclamation or the 13th Amendment. They referred to this man as a freedman. And he was someone who bought his own freedom. And this was like in the he did that somewhere in the 1840s, 1850s, whatever the case was. But, he bought his own freedom, and he was referred to as a freedman. So I was looking that up, but in looking up the usage of the term freedman in various respects, I found something very interesting, and Josh is going to go in on this. What I found was that what's called Arlington Cemetery today was once a village called Freedmen's Village. Freedmen's Village is where Arlington Cemetery is, and the Pentagon. And so now what I want to do is I'm going to turn it over to Josh and let Josh just build on all of that information about Freedmen's Village.
Yeah, y'all. Man, it's crazy. I apologize. I'm actually out. I had to step out the away from the computer and out the crib. But Freedmen's Village. See, I live out here right near what is Arlington National Cemetery now. So it's crazy that I've never heard of this till this weekend when Ali told me. So I did some digging, and it would be great if we had some type of like Freedmen's tours. Like we can go to different historic locations and learn about the history or whatever. But when you look at the Freedmen's Village, not only was the Freedmen's Village, not only is the land today from Freedmen's Village, Arlington National Cemetery, but it is also the Pentagon and the Navy Annex building. So let me break that down a lot, just so y'all understand. Arlington National Cemetery, it wasn't made to be a cemetery. It was originally a plantation that was owned by George Washington's wife's family, Martha Washington. She inherited that land from, and I don't know how far back it goes before that, but she inherited that land from her father, and she passed it down to her grandson from a previous marriage. Because see, Martha Washington was married before she got married to George Washington. She was married to a man named Custis, last name Custis, and he died. So she inherited a whole lot of slaves and a whole lot of land and all that. So when she got with George Washington, they brought their lands and properties and stuff together, and that's how they used to do. But when George Washington died, and Martha Washington died, the one who inherited was George Washington's step grandson, who was actually his adopted son. Then he passed it down to his daughter when he died, and his daughter ended up being a lady named Mary Lee, and Mary Lee married Robert E. Lee. So will you understand that land, Arlington National Cemetery, is actually, it was made into a cemetery because the Union troops wanted to make, no matter what happened in the result of the Civil War, they wanted to make sure that Robert E. Lee would never want to come back and live in that mansion that was at that property. So they started burying people. They started burying the dead in the front yard and all around the property.
It was burying the blacks there, weren't they?
Well, yeah, I'm about to get to that. So now, again, that place was already a plantation for generations and generations and generations. So there was already a slave cemetery, over there. It was a slave cemetery over there anyway. So now put a pin in that. But in addition to, so now I want to bring up an interesting point before I get into Freedmen's Village, right? I just told you that George Washington, Martha Washington, George Washington owned that place that's now Arlington National Cemetery, and passed it down to eventually what became Robert E. Lee's family. So that just goes to show you, like, how tied together that slavery put those who would be made heroes and those who would be made villains. But both of them was participating in slavery. So my question is, and it's just a question. Y'all can answer it. I haven't dug too deep into it to really give a definitive answer. But if George Washington somehow was alive, would he be for the Confederacy or would he be for the Union? I don't know. I know he's a president and all that.
That's a good question.
Will he be for the Confederacy or will he be? Imagine a picture of George Washington with a Confederate flag in the background. Now, you can't tell me he wasn't pro-slavery. And you can't tell me he didn't like the idea of his family, property and his land getting taken. Because understand, they had more than one property, right? There was another property called the White House. And then during the Civil War, that property was seized and burnt by Union troops. And that's like in New Kent, Virginia, I think it was. So they also seized the Arlington place, and I don't know, would he have, like, all of the prominent Virginians and all of those wealthy people, they voted to secede. He would have been one of them. So would he have voted that way as well? I don't know. That's the question we need to ask. So anyways, another way that they wanted to stick it to Lee was they had all of these people who had been who were contrabands now. Like the Union troops went around to these plantations and stuff and were liberating people. They were, I wouldn't say liberating, because they were taking them from the bondage of private hands into the public bondage of the government, you know, the army. They were basically working for the army as slaves, what they're called contrabands. But after that, after emancipation, this is where they started to make this freedmen village. And in the freedmen's village, you know, it's like, yeah, see, look, Lee, we gonna not only we gonna bury folks on your land, we also gonna make your land like a Negro refugee camp, essentially. A Negro, you know, what we gonna build back up the Negro, you know, we're gonna give him a place to stay on your plantation. So it started out like that, but it eventually became to where they only wanted it to have about 500 people on there. It ended up having about over 3,000 people over there. Because understand, they had housing, they had schools, they had, you know, work training, they gave them jobs. Now it wasn't paradise. It wasn't paradise because they was charging, they would give them like $10 a week to work for the government over there. You know, working conditions weren't good. They made them, there was strict regulations of how you could spend your time and all that. You had to work. And then they would say you had to pay half the money for rent and taxes and stuff like that. And they ended the program. They ended the Freedmen's Village. It only existed from maybe what, in 18, I think 62 or 18. It was 1863, something like that. On to 1872. No, excuse me, 1887 is when they gave everybody, all the freedmen on there, they gave them a 90-day eviction notice. Basically, they had to get off the land. Now, the interesting thing about the story is there was one freedman by the name of John Forsyth. Now, he had some type of legal training. And anyways, he contacted the government and wrote to the government and was talking about like the unfair treatment. And that community, the Freedmen's Village, ended up getting reparations. The freedmen of the Freedmen's Village got reparations from the government of I think it was like in 1900. They got about $75,000. So for the
Right.
people to say, you know, you can't get reparations by political action or whatever the case may be, you know, we got several examples. You can just look at the Freedmen's Village, and I know that's small, and it's a small sample size of people.
Yeah,
But
let me
that's
look.
another.
I got it. I got the image up on the screen. One of the Freedmen schools that was built in the 1860s. This image, I believe, was taken in 1868. Here we go.
Another piece of history that kind of threw me for a loop around that. You see a lot of this we don't know. A lot of us, I would dare to say that none of us on this YouTube or any of y'all watching knew anything about this before we're talking about it. I certainly didn't. But a lot of this information is in a special tour that they have at the Arlington National Cemetery. It's of the African American History Tour of the at Arlington National Cemetery, and they talk about this stuff. They talk about Freedmen's Village. They have special markers there for that. They have in the Freedmen's Village. They even talk about certain prominent who were people who were buried there that were not military veterans. Like there was one person named John Parks. I think his name was John Parks, and I think he got that name from Robert E. Lee's Mary Lee's family. I think was named Park, so I think he got that name from them. Anyways, he was a slave at the Arlington plantation. He worked there all his life. Then he was at the Freedmen's Village, and after that he stayed and worked. It was like, you know, he worked the grounds of the Arlington you know, whatever, still a plantation, or Arlington, whatever estate. And he worked there his whole life. They built him a little cabin there, and he was buried there. And actually, when Union troops first came to that mansion, they started looting all the artifacts. Now, George Washington and Robert E. Lee, Robert E. Lee's family was housing a lot of artifacts of like family heirlooms of George Washington. So this is this is how crazy the mind of a slave is, and I can't judge. I don't know, but Mary Lee gave the slaves. One of them was called Selena Gray, and I looked at the picture of Selena Gray. I was like, damn, she looked like she could be an ancestor of mine. Oh, that's crazy. But anyways, she ended up telling the general who was at that mansion, and he that the people were looting George Washington artifacts, and he demanded that they bring back, and that's why a lot of those artifacts are under the custody today, because pretty much the slave was snitching. It's another piece of history. So now, when you talk about the slave cemetery, that is very crazy, because the land that slave cemetery is on, well, used to be on, the land that slave cemetery used to be on.
Your audio got low, Josh.
Okay, hold on. The land that slave cemetery used to be on, the federal government, after they kicked the Freedmen out from the Freedmen's Village, the federal government dug all those bodies up out of the ground. They did not place them back. They just discarded them. So the families have no way of giving any kind of honor or whatever, visiting any type of graves. They just discarded the bodies. And then they cleared that land and they built the Pentagon on top of it. So the Pentagon is sitting on top of old slave cemetery, and all of the Pentagon, the Arlington Cemetery, and the Navy Annex building, all of that is on what used to be the Freedmen's Village land. Crazy.
Indeed.
Now, I hope that people are looking this stuff up while you're talking about it, because you can easily find this information just by Googling it. Freedmen's Village, Arlington Cemetery. You'll find everything that he's talking about. The National Park Services has information on it. There are other websites that have information on it. This is like right there, you know what I mean? It's easy to find. So I'm just hoping that everybody's pulling it up and really digging into that and checking it out, because this is like, it's so many different things. There's so many different things to point to the use of this term, freedmen, particularly as it relates to justice for people free, newly emancipated out of slavery. So when we talk about Reconstruction efforts being overthrown and the federal government failing us, when that happened, that was the freedmen. That was the freedmen that happened to. Those was our ancestors who were under the nomenclature freedmen at that time. So the continuation of that work, as we all talk about, continuation of the Reconstruction efforts. As sons and daughters of freedmen, it only seems fitting that we pick up that mantle and continue to run with it, and to let this country know we understand what y'all did to our freedmen ancestors and what you allowed to happen to our freedmen ancestors, and we need that stuff to be dealt with. We need all of that to be dealt with. We're not letting this thing go.
And that's why the Bureau of Freedmen Affairs is so important, man. Having that reestablished, this history. Josh was saying earlier about, us not really knowing about this freedmen's history. And I pulled up a comment from Sister Cynthia that was like, no, Josh, I really didn't know anything about the freedmen's history. It's a name that we've heard, but insofar as it being this historical thing that linked specifically to the people. Let me recap what I said earlier for those who missed it. At the event, there was a pastor. His last name was Slaughter. And he was up next to speak. And he leaned over to me and he said, the term freedman is so clarifying and specific. There's no doubt about who you're talking about. No doubt. And
That's right.
that was one of the things that stuck with me. And I believe that this is why the term freedman has caught fire the way that it did. There were politicians there with their staff, you know, and to have that name resurrected. I always say, and I believe the brothers have said this on the platform as well, but it was definitely said in our private conversations that after King, the work of the freedmen stops.
Mm.
If you think about King, and I've said this before, many of those bills, the Voting Rights Bill, the Voting Rights Act, and the Civil Rights Act, these were all relics from Reconstruction. The Voting Rights Act was really just the 15th Amendment done right in the 60s.
Yeah.
The Civil Rights Act in 65 was a revisit of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This legislation was already on the books. It was already on the books. We didn't understand it. And it really wasn't until the case with, what's his name, Byron Allen, that we delved deeper into the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the battle of the but-for clause when it came to discrimination in the workplace. And you know, those of us who are familiar with the but-for clause know that they tried to create this impossible standard. You didn't get fired because you were racially discriminated against, because really you had no proof. You didn't not get promoted to that position because of racial discrimination. So what? Everybody that got promoted there, you was there 20 years, and people have been promoted that were only there 5 years and they were white, got promoted. You can't give me the but for, right? But for race, I would have had that position because you have no proof. You have no secret recordings. You have no emails. You know, you don't have any of that. So, you know, we have a battle, a uphill battle, but we got our mountain gear on and our boots with the rope and we doing our thing right now. We climbing to the top. What Martin said about that mountaintop, I might not get there with you, but he started the climb. Well, no, he didn't start the climb. He picked up where our freedmen ancestors left off after the terrorism of the Ku Klux Klan and other like groups that started in the early 1900s, suppressing movement of freedmen.
Yeah, that's a fact. And the Reverend or Pastor, the Reverend was absolutely correct in terms of the clarification of it. You know, we had to make clear that the Europeans would call refugees. You know, the Europeans were called refugees. So when you see the Freedmen's Act establishing the Freedmen's Bureau, you see they talk about refugees and freedmen, right? So you're talking about the Europeans when you're saying the refugees. So freedmen were not Europeans.
That's right.
The freedmen were the ones who were forced to bear the burdens of Negro chattel slavery.
That's right.
Europeans were the ones who were called refugees in the Freedmen's Bill. So that's that. But the other thing that was that's really important, and Grim and I were talking about this, was the reason that freedmen rings with people, because it's positive, right? So look, you have a choice of saying two different things. You could say you're a descendant of slaves, or you could say you're a descendant of freedmen. Why does the term freedmen resonate with people easier? Why does it, like, we all know that we're descendants of slaves, right? We know that. But why does the term freedmen resonate with people in a way that saying that you're a descendant of slaves doesn't? Because one is positive and one is negative. People are going to always gravitate for the most part, towards the positive, right? Something as dark as slavery, although it was a reality, nobody really wants to be submerged in that, right? They want to be submerged in the triumphant part of it. They want to be submerged in the victorious part. The term freedman, particularly when you understand the history of the Civil War and that over 200,000 Black men engaged in that war and fought for their own liberation, not only to save the Union soldiers were going to lose to the Confederates had those Black men not joined that fight. They had to let them join, or else they were going to lose to the Confederacy. So these men were brave, they were powerful, they were triumphant, they fought for their own liberation. No white person did them no favors. They had to fight for their own salvation in this country. And so when we talk about being a descendant of freedmen versus a descendant of slavery, I'll tell you why I will no longer say I'm a descendant of slavery. The reason I would say that is because slavery is an institution, and it was a dreadful institution. It was a horrible institution. And the one thing I'm not going to do is uplift or exalt that institution. What I will do is show reverence and exaltation for the freedmen, those men who and women who were triumphant, who were victorious and came out on the other side of that institution, who were the freedom fighters, who were the ones who continued to instill in us as the descendants that culture and customs of freedom fighting to continue on in this fight, in this plight of ours in this country. So I would rather show reverence to those men and women who were fearless and fought for their own liberation than to say that I'm a descendant of some dreadful European devil institution.
Yeah, Ali, that's powerful, bro. And I don't know if y'all mentioned this before. I dropped off. But the language of freedmen is why we found this history. See, when you start looking up under freedmen, you'll discover a lot, and it's not going to be just with slavery. You can discover slavery and the subsequent atrocities, right? Another thing is, and this kind of relates to why we saw the Juneteenth being made into a holiday. Keep in mind, Donald Trump actually proposed this. Now he probably knew it wasn't going to get any movement, and Democrats probably wouldn't even want him to get a win anyway. And I'm not pro-Trump, just it's just how politics works. But by focusing on slavery, you allow them to evade and dodge the subsequent atrocities and the still existing injustices that are going on at the present moment. So they don't have to. They can say, well, slavery, that was a long time ago. There's nobody alive that dealt with that. That was over a century and some change ago. America's past that now. Look at what we're doing. We're coming together and we're passing this, recognizing Juneteenth as a holiday. Okay, but man, it was a great meme. I think Sister Shannon had shared it, and it was like, no. I saw it on I had shared it on my Facebook. Actually, I got it from somebody else who was I was shocked that he actually shared this, but it was a staircase. I don't know if you can pull it up, Naheem. It's on my Facebook wall.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. I know it's in our chat.
Yeah, man. I was surprised. It's a picture, and it's got like Juneteenth, making Juneteenth a federal holiday, and that's like the 4th or 5th step up. And then it's got like reparations, criminal justice reform, all this kind of other kind of major issues that we need addressed. And they just step all the way over all of them to get to making Juneteenth a federal holiday. And I think when you use the language of freedmen, you're going to discover a lot. You're going to have reference to slavery. You're going to have reference to reconstruction. You're going to have reference to the black codes and the origins of Jim Crow all the way through today. in the ongoing atrocity, I mean, the ongoing, injustice I will say atrocities too. If you see the police brutality in our community, and if you, like the sisters and brothers of Chicago, to help get the bill passed, if we looked at violence as a public health crisis, you know, that's a serious situation in our own community, and that comes from the legacy of just social decay and economic deprivation that's led to the condition that's in the community today, where violence coming from that standpoint. And yeah, but just using that language, that encompasses and that brings out a lot. That's why we use the Freedmen language, and that's why we go by that lingo, because now we're gonna need that language to come out when we need a new office under the executive branch that's recognizing, and that's specifically going to handle the affairs of freedmen. I to me, when you think about that bill in California is very important, because that's going to establish the precedent for them to go ahead and do something like that, hopefully on the federal level.
That's
and
right.
that will open up the door for some specific bureau for us without so much pushback. It won't be a foreign concept. So I urge, I hope that gets passed. I don't remember the exact update or when we're going to find out whether that's going to go through or not. But
yeah, we lost your audio, Josh. You went on mute. Yeah, I don't know what happened with Brother Josh, but
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. No, I was pretty much done. I don't know where I cut out at, but I was just saying that California bill, man, that making sure that's important, because that's kind of setting a precedent, and it will make it to where us having a special consideration, a special department within the executive branch, just like the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and how they trying to make the Office for New Americans and all that kind of stuff. It will make that not a foreign concept, or they can't fake like it's some foreign fake concept, because California will already have a specific ethnic designation, then we couple that with the history and the aspect of having a Freedmen's Bureau, it just going to make a whole lot of sense. So I think that needs to be the push moving forward. Yeah, reparations, but how are we going to have a program that is in existence until, in perpetuity, just like the Bureau of Indian Affairs is in existence in perpetuity? How are we going to have something that is maintained?
That's right. See, that's one of the things that I said on the interview with Brother Chubb Rock, and he asked me about AB 3121. Again, we shouting out our family in California, because they putting in work, putting in real work. And, he said, what do you feel about Governor Gavin Newsom signing the reparations bill there? And I said, it puts the federal government on notice. To sum up what I said, it helps give a model, a framework of what needs to be done at the federal level. And with this bill, correct me if I'm wrong, it's AB 105. I think I'm saying that correct. I believe it's Bill 105 that we were talking about earlier, to which Josh was just speaking to. Then we will have another form of blueprint, right? Which is disaggregation. And Trump, to his credit and his administration, when you looked at the census, they did disaggregation. For those of us who did fill out the census, we seen that. For a Black American, it asked the question, are you a descendant of, I think I can't remember the terminology exactly. Or are you from Jamaica, Haiti, any of the Caribbean islands, or are you from Africa, et cetera, et cetera? So we need that. We definitely need that right now. And I know that it's something that the Democrats are fighting against. We know that they are using Pan-Africanists, particularly on Clubhouse, to try to keep these waters muddied. Ibrahim says, somebody just called me and asked me, what do I think of Dan Calloway? I'm going to send them BTP video debunking that pretendian mess. That's so funny. I went up in May to visit my daughter for her baby shower, and her her man. I don't use that term boyfriend. Right? We men at the end of the day. I don't like the term boyfriend and girlfriend for grown folk. But that's just me personally. And, we were sitting there building. So he's starting to see like, oh, yeah, this dude got some video. Me and my daughter chopping it up. We was watching some of my videos. And he was like, well, what you think about Dan Calloway? I was like, what? I just pulled up the BTP video and put that joint on, man. And he was like, oh, wow. Oh, okay. Okay. So, this is a part of what we've been doing in this space. And we're glad that we were able to add that element into this discussion. And, again, shout out to Brother Ibrahim. For those who missed any shout outs, I gave a whole bunch of shout outs earlier to the fam that came through and showed out. Shout out to everybody just joining: Bahi Watson, Vince Jefferson, Black Seed, the Child of Life, et cetera, et cetera. So, Yep, we definitely need a specific identification. We got it. It's Freedmen. And now we're going to push that. We're going to push it until people gain an understanding that I can find this on the records. It's an easy sell. It's like that pastor said, it's so clarifying and specific. You have no doubt who is being talked about. No doubt at all. So somebody in the chat said, I am a Chickasaw freedman, but there was mixing on both sides. It's not pretend for me. I did my genealogy. Well, if you're a Chickasaw freedman, then, there's no way you could believe in what Dan Calloway says. So I'm pretty certain that what Brother Ibrahim was saying didn't apply to you at all. So anybody want to go in on anything?
Yeah, man. Just F1, man. That's where it's at.
Family first, Freedmen first.
That's
F1.
Right. Yeah.
Straight up.
That's all I got, man.
Yeah, look, Sister Tanya, you are still a freedman.
That's right.
See, we've never denied that. The only thing that we've said is that although you are a freedman, your justice claim is different from ours. Y'all have a specific justice claim that y'all need to take up with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and then or if that fails, take up with the Supreme Court. So that's the only difference, right? The difference is the justice claim. At the end of the day, we are still of the same lineage when it comes through slavery, because most of us were enslaved in the United States of America and are the combination of various different African tribes who were brought over to this continent and forced to do slave labor. So no.
Now I want to say something. I want to say something to that.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean that going back in the lineage, none of the ancestors, nobody like your mama, because your mama got your two parents, and they got two parents, and they got two parents. None of those people. Your daddy got two parents. They got two parents. They had two parents. Going all the way back. None of those people were attached to the institution of slavery. That I know maybe
You
one
mean
side and other. You know what I'm
you
saying?
you
I'm
mean
talking about U.S.
European
slavery.
slavery? Yeah,
Yes,
not
yeah,
the
U.S. slavery.
Indian 5 civilized tribes slavery.
Right.
Definitely.
And I mean, even like I know some of this has to be records that's proven, but like a lot of times we only think about it. Damn, my phone about to die again. A lot of times we only think about this in terms of the who can you find one that was enslaved. But I mean, it's interesting if you think about the records, because somebody could have been sold. You could have been owned by a European and sold to somebody else. You know what I mean? If
That's
you
right,
can,
Josh.
if you can find that you was enslaved, even by them tribes, how did they were they doing import? So somebody had to
That's
own you
right,
first. Some European had to import you first and sell you to them, most
bro.
likely. Or all of that. If you were a free person that was made into a slave, all this kind of stuff that happened under the United States of America, I don't know. It's just hard for me to see a scenario that can
That's
allow
exactly
those
what
people to
happened,
escape.
Josh. That's exactly what happened. Those 5 civilized tribes were getting slaves. The black people that they had enslaved, they got them from the Europeans. The Europeans were the ones, like you said, who were doing the imports. They were the ones bringing people into the country through the Atlantic Ocean. So when they brought them in, the 5 civilized tribes were buying these people from Europeans. So before they were owned by those Indians, they were owned by Europeans first. That's a fact. That's exactly what happened. I've actually read that.
Yeah, because they didn't have no plantations. They didn't even know nothing about plantations till the European came and started setting up plantations. That wasn't their culture.
No, and the enslavement of black people was something they adopted from the Europeans. Just like they, there was a couple of things. They adopted slavery. That's why they called them the civilized tribes, because they took on ways of the Europeans. They took on their adoption of Negro
Were
chattel slavery.
were
Then they,
even considered white by Europeans, were allowed to establish schools that were very well, like that's a whole breakdown in and of itself. But go ahead, Ali. I just wanted to add that in there, that they came up with the same. Remember, real quick, when the Nazis recruited Arabs to fight their cause over in the Middle East somewhere. I can't remember exactly what. Hitler bended the rules of who was considered a pure Aryan, right?
hmm,
To quasi include these people, the Arabs, which if you break Arabs and Jews down ethnically, especially in the Middle East, not the more Yiddish types of Europe, they're the same people. They just, if you put an average Jew and an average Arab together from the Middle East, people that have Middle Eastern lineage, as it's called, they're going to look exactly the same. Exactly. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
yeah. So in the point I'm trying to make is that they were being called civilized. The reason they were called civilized because they took on the ways of the European. They took on that, the adoption of slavery, and they took on Christianity. That's why they called them civilized, as opposed to savages. The other Native Americans, they called them savages because they did not adopt their ways and customs. So that's the difference.
Facts. Now the sister said, in my family, the British dropped off. Shout out to Freedmen Grimm in the chat. My bro is in the building. Shout out to brother Rashad Singleton. He's in the building. He's one of the brothers that spoke at the rally as well. For anybody that missed the beginning, we gave shout outs to the fam, everybody. But she said, in my family, the British dropped orphans off in the Chickasaw tribes. They married into tribes and became the chiefs. They got land patents forever, and the freedmen children didn't. Sister Tanya, I would love to see some, because I've never heard that the British dropped orphans off in the Chickasaw tribes. I'm
That's
guessing
interesting.
when she says orphans, she means our people, our
No,
ancestors.
she's talking about she's
Oh,
talking about
Europeans.
yeah, the so-called white orphans they dropped off,
Okay, yes,
and,
yes.
and they were able to benefit from land grants and patents, whereas the Negro chattel slaves that they had were not able to.
All right, sis, send me a link to the email that I'm putting in the chat right now. Like, I've learned to just not dismiss people's claims without vetting them, right? And sometimes we have people that come in our chat, they make claims, and sometimes we invite them up, and then their claims just crumble. They they just crumble. But
But
we
think
give you
about
the
it, man.
benefit of the doubt first if you're not just saying some crazy stuff.
I don't think what she's saying is crazy at all,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
the fact of the matter is, you look at a lot of these Native Americans and how they went from these brown skinned, dark skinned people to
mm-hmm.
these pale skinned looking people. They obviously intermarried with Europeans,
Mm.
and that's exactly what she's saying happened. That's what she's saying happened. They dropped them off, these orphans, intermarried. This is outside of the so-called $5 Indian thing or whatever. Just the idea that Europeans were intermarrying with or procreating with Native Americans, with blacks, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they were doing all of that. So I mean, it makes total sense. Makes total sense.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, we've been through some of the debates here, and we've had some debates on this channel. We had to shut some people down, and it wasn't that we were just trying to engage in the debate. If that's the way you want to identify yourself, fine. But we spoke of, as my brothers coined the term, I believe Ali said it, the tribe of we. Oh, we all are that? No, we are not all that. And if you're saying that we are, then you should be able to provide sufficient enough proof. I'll give an example. When I was in the Moorish movement, I would say that I would always say that I believe that our people are all Moors, as to just saying definitively, we're all Moors. We're all Moors. I said, I believe that. I believe that it's an ancient ethnic terms whose etymology doesn't have an origin, but we can trace this term more back through the ages. But it was a belief. I didn't try to force it on anybody, regardless if I was having a debate about blackness or et cetera, et cetera. I just didn't. So when people try to say we all are this, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if I've never heard your arguments before or arguments from those of like group. Okay, well, present your argument, because I've debated it all before. I've debated it all. We all have, actually. We all have. So let me see. Let me see what else we got going on. We got on here to give a recap of our reparations rally. We are planning a millions reparationist march, a million reparationist march. It's something that we're discussing. If you like what we're doing and you would like to support the movement, you could go to our website, usadof.org. You can make your donations there. And these are tax write-offs, family, right? When you donate to the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, these are tax write-offs that you can write off on your taxes, because we are a legitimate 501c3 organization. As I stated earlier, we will be 501c4ing be the power because we want that to be the political voice to say the things that the 501c3s cannot say, right? Because we don't want anybody to misunderstand, because this is stuff that we knew, what, Ali, 10 years ago, the difference between a 501c3, a 501c4, a 501c8, et cetera, et cetera. We was on this stuff years ago. Years ago.
Yeah, that's a
So,
fact. Because that's big in the Moorish movement. That whole, man, a lot of people don't know this. The Moorish thing is a really weird situation. And one of the sticking points with a lot of Moors is whether or not the Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc. was a 501c3. And boy, oh boy, man, there was some arguments over that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I was on both sides of the argument at one point, right? Because understanding should make you change your position. Research should make you change your position. Point blank, period. It should make you change your position. And we had come to find out, and I did this I was debating one of these brothers that came into the Moorish movement out of nowhere, got a YouTube channel, and now he's like the soap opera for a bunch of stagnant Moors. And I had to break down the 501c3 and show that it was only a codified version of the non-for-profit pecuniary laws that existed in the 1800s. I believe it was 1864, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off. It's been years since I looked at it. So, we are tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a great segue, Ali. Yeah, that's a great segue. And before you announce, I just want to say a couple things, because I don't want what I'm saying to go over top of what you're saying. I want what you to say, and then we can go forward from there. So I want to say, really when we talk about the pretending and stuff, right? One of your favorite, and look, if that phrase makes you feel a certain type of way, it's not aimed at you. If you're in this fight with us, it's not aimed at you. It's aimed at the people who are trying to use some type of alternative history, or even just the ideology or the ethnic designation of being some type of indigenous tribe to avoid or as an alternative to blackness or being a freedman in America. It's like they want to make it a new movement, a new religion, but it's not really based on solid history. Let me give you an example. One of the most prominent today internet pretendians, when we had a conversation with him, we talked to him, and come to find out, one side of the family, and maybe I'm getting confused with somebody else before I misspeak. But I remember we was having a conversation with somebody, and it was going so hard. Y'all remember? Oh man, this side, my family,
right
my
here
father's
on the
side of the
channel,
family,
if I'm not mistaken.
my mother's side of the family, and then you come to find out, well, what about your father? Oh, I ain't never know my father. So hold up, you trying to say you ain't had no slavery nowhere in your blood, but you don't even know 50% of your lineage. How can you be so full chested about a statement about you this being your specific identity, and you ain't had no slavery, and this, none of your people is all these tribes, and you don't even know who your father was, So this is these type of things that we're trying to say, like, come on, like one of the things, and this is the second point I make, and that's the last thing, and I want to pass it back to you, Naheem. But the thing that I appreciated about the movement for justice, the movement for reparations, and now the Freedmen movement, right, is whatever your ideology was, whatever your religious leaning was, whatever quote unquote other movement you wanted to be a part of, whether it be the Moorish movement, the Hebrew Israelites, the Nation of Islam, or you wanted to be some autochthonous indigenous tribe, or some type of Native American. Like all that stuff was always secondary. Whether you was LGBT or whatever the case, that stuff was always secondary. Or it was like not even a thing that anybody wasted time on trying to debate or trying to. It was we always kept it centered on and stayed on code around reparations and specific policies to improve our specific group. You know what I mean? And so as we move forward, that's just important for everybody to remember. I don't care what you believe around all that other stuff. Just make sure we keep that. We don't never let that supersede, what we're trying to do collectively, because that's what brings us together. And if we allow that stuff to get in the way, that's just going to splinter and cause friction. So we can talk about it. We can have these debates and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, are you a reparationist or not?
Right.
Facts.
You got to act like it.
So, with that said,
I have a request though. I know what you're getting ready to announce for tomorrow.
All right, go ahead, bro.
But my request is, I don't know what everybody's doing Friday. Friday would be a way better day for me. I don't know about Grim. I know Grim wants to, Grim has to be a part of it.
Yeah, Grim gotta. Yeah, I don't know. We're not doing it without Grim.
Yeah, so
we're not doing it without Grim
because of the way things are going with the restaurant. So I want to be. Friday is a free day for me. Friday's a free day.
So look, if we'll talk about it on the back channels. We'll talk about it on our personal chat and see what everybody is doing this Friday. And go from there, man. I think that we have to we did critiques on Malcolm, we did critiques on Elijah, and I was one that used to say I don't believe that Noble Drew Ali was wrong on anything yet. I would always say yet. I said if somebody comes and shows me something different, then and it weighs out with the facts, then I'm gonna be like, okay, y'all right on that. Well, I'm telling you, we had a debate, and I talked about this before. We debated like 5 hours on this topic a couple weeks ago. Like literally, we was on the phone 5 hours getting it in. And but there were things that there was no way that I could disagree with. And I'm not gonna go against my own research methodology, just to argue. What's right is right. Point blank, period. And we found some problematic things that Prophet Noble Drew Ali said. And was supposed to do this, but the time and the timing never seemed to be right. So we held back, but we gonna get this thing done this week. We gonna get it done this week. So
just to be clear, there are some things that Noble Drew Ali said that were very problematic, and we're going to offer critique of those things. That's exactly what we're going to do. Now, one of the things about the Moors is that they believe that this man was not wrong about anything that he ever said. The problem is the man himself said that they were still learning as an organization. That's and that he was open for critique.
That's right.
And we're going to preface everything that's going to be said on that, right? We're going to use that at the very beginning, where he says, look, we're still learning. We're open to criticism, and it is what it is, right? So the fact of the matter is, he acknowledged that, to me, to make that kind of a statement was an acknowledgement that, hey, I don't know everything. I'm not saying I'm getting all of this stuff right. I'm doing what I can with the information that I have and the resources that I have. And if you guys have critiques of what it is that I'm doing. You see where I'm doing something that's maybe not right or could be better. I'm open for critique and criticism, etc. So that to me is an acknowledgement of the man's humanity, his humanness, and the fact that he understood that he was in a learning process as he was trying to develop his organization. And although people have exalted him to this God status where nothing he said could have been wrong, there could be nothing that of what he said that could have been expounded upon, that he was right and exact about everything and that he had all of the answers. That was not his position. I don't believe that was his position at all. I think that was the followers of his who have now made him into this God, this deity over that particular movement. They put him in that position. And so now, just like Brother Naheem said, as we offer critique of Malcolm and Elijah, and I don't know, did we do Garvey or not? I don't know if we did Garvey.
We haven't done Garvey, but Garvey said some really Drew Ali's problematic statements were, I want to say, ahistorical, right?
Somewhat, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Garvey's statements were, I don't even know if problematic is a good term for Noble Drew Ali's statements. I think Garvey, some of the stuff Garvey said was problematic. And one day we're gonna do, one day we're gonna do a critique on Garvey as well. And Grim said, "Don't give it away. We ain't giving it away, bro. we keeping it under wraps. We keeping it under
just
wraps.
The trailer. We just giving the trailer.
Yeah,
we ain't trying to show the movie.
Well, this ain't really. This is the This the Avengers Endgame trailer. Yeah. They ain't show nothing in them trailers. Nothing at all. So
ask Grim, is Friday good?
Grim, you think you can make it Friday, bro?
We talk about it in the inbox or whatever.
Yeah, because I really want to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And because I think it's beneficial, especially as we move forward as a group. And we got a lot of Moors in the camp as well that follow what we're doing here as freedmen. So,
and let me say this: it's not just the Moors. It's something that people tend to do. Our people definitely do it. They did it with Barack Obama. They tried to deify him.
That's right.
Like our folks seem to have this Messiah complex, and so it's like if it's not Garvey, then it's Noble Drew Ali. If it's not Noble Drew Ali, then it's Elijah Muhammad or Fard Muhammad. If it's not Fard and Elijah, then it has to be Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? It like if it's not, Malcolm, and then it was Martin. If it wasn't Martin, then it was Dr. York or this or Yahweh ben Yahweh or who it's always somebody, right? We always trying to deify some man for some reason. I don't know. One of the wisest things that Drew Ali said, and I'll just say this, was that he said, I can't save you. Now, this was a great acknowledgement.
That's right.
I can't save you. Nobody can save you. But if I could get you all to thinking, you all would save yourselves. So that was a very wise statement of his. I don't know why people don't run with that as opposed to trying to deify the man.
That's right. That's right. So I can't wait for that one. I've been waiting for that one for some weeks, actually. The bro said I might want to sit this one out, and that was funny. I said, nah, I'm going to join in. I'm going to let y'all do y'all thing. Y'all do y'all thing. The critique needs to happen. We need to
have my popcorn. Have my I don't know if y'all had this popcorn called Lesser Evil, and they got this watermelon hibiscus organic popcorn, man.
Nah, Josh,
I'm the king of snacks,
man. Josh, eat high value man food.
Hey, I'm up on all the new snacks, man. So y'all want to know what the
snacks? Like Day said, you know about all the new snacks, the new Twinkies.
That's funny.
Oh man. Cato said he hates boxing, but the boxer Charlo won his match. I know it was Saturday night. We were supposed to be watching the fight. I knew that wasn't going to happen. Soon as we got to the Airbnb, everybody was just turned up from the event, and all I remember was Logic put in the inbox, "Yo, Abba, Charlo can't beat Canelo. I can't stand Canelo." Not it's only because I feel like he ducks black fighters that he feels would give him a problem. You know, so I mean,
and speaking of Charlo, I was happy for Deontay Wilder's clapback at the madness that this dude said.
That's right. The younger, well,
Jermell Charlo.
Jermell, the little twin. Let me say, not the younger twin, they exact twins. Identical twins, not exact twins, that look exactly alike. But the littler Charlo talk about there's no racism. Like, it's funny when people get money.
Right.
They all of a sudden the factors that they went through as children, like these people spoke about the poverty. Many of them speak about the poverty that they went through. That all of a sudden when they get money, this thing didn't exist no more. And I constantly bring up people like Robert Smith, a billionaire who's fighting for reparations, like Bob Johnson, former owner of BET, a billionaire fighting for reparations, and all of the stars. One of my peoples, we debated for like an hour on the phone about reparations. I'm like, bro, you don't know what you're talking about, man. Then Boosie came out with a recent video. See, we been knew Boosie, who got money, was on reparations for our people. Then he made a new video recently, and my brother hit me up and was like, all right, somebody like that's a star saying. I'm like, so it's not that I said it. And the biblical saying is a prophet has no honor in his own home.
That's right. And Pharrell too. Pharrell,
it was over. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was gonna say Pharrell too. Remember he on
that's right, Pharrell. That's right.
Your Roots program said we need reparation.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So you know what I'm saying? When we got people like Brother Rashard came through, professional basketball player, fighting for reparations, had a league that he started in 2018 called the National Reparations League. You see what I'm saying? So
the actress Jackie Harris,
Shaka Khan. Who else, man? It's a couple of people that's out there pushing for reparations for our people. So, this idea that you got money now, and now all of a sudden you forgot how you even got the hunger, right? Because most freedmen boxers, they didn't grow up with silver spoons in their mouths. They fought with the intent, I'm beating everybody, and I'm going to get my mother up out the hood, my mother and my father up out the hood. My brothers and sisters ain't going to go through what I went through, yada, yada, yada. Everybody going to be straight.
Bro, one of my brothers, one of my good brothers, and I'm saying it like that because this is what it is. His net worth is somewhere around $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
He's a pro reparations person. Mm-hmm. He's pro reparations. He doesn't personally need it, but he and I have had long conversations about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yo, that shit will fix everything.
That's right.
It will fix everything for our people. And so, you got him, remember Ice Cube? Come on, man. It's not even a thing of this is a broke man's crusade. No, it's not.
Word.
No, it's not.
That's a fact. It's a justice crusade. Because Michael Jackson says, what's that song, man? I can't think of the name of it. But he said, who am I to be blind, pretending not to see them eat? That's one of the most powerful lines I think that have ever been uttered in a song. Who am I? Who am I pretending or to pretending to be blind? No, who am I to be blind, pretending not to see them eat? I think if Michael Jackson was still living today, he'd be a proponent for reparations. We would just have to kind of snatch him out of the jaws of the Nation of Islam and their new affiliation with Cobra and them. But that's another whole nother.
Well, shit. You remember the record Prince did? When will we be paid?
Oh man, that Prince record. Oh
Yeah.
goodness. When will we get paid for the work we've done? Don't get me to start blowing up on this piece. So look, man, we passed the 2-hour mark. I'm excited, right? It was crazy because I woke up yesterday, Sunday morning, and I was in such a serious mode. The high was still there. That nostalgic high, it was still there, but I was just in serious mode. It was like, okay, phase 1 is complete. What's phase 2 now? Right? And it's not really phase 1 in this movement. It's just a phase. But for me to have personally put the event together, right? Because I looked in the heart of many of these reparationists, many of whom we had on our platform, and I knew what was in their heart and what they were striving for. And I knew that we were striving for the same things. And I believe that this thing had to happen, that we had to meet and we had to shake hands and press flesh with each other, that we had to feel each other's vibes and hear each other's voices outside of YouTube or phone calls or Clubhouse, that we had to feel each other's energy and move as family moves. And so, just again, I just want to give a shout out to everybody. I may have forgotten some names earlier because it was a lot of people that was from Clubhouse that I didn't really too much interact with, right? And the ones that were from Clubhouse that I acted with, like Big Teach, Sister Cherie, and it was a couple of others that was there from Clubhouse, a couple of the brothers, shout outs to them. Shout outs to our speakers that came through, starting with Sister Khadija Abdul-Rahman, who is a Fulton County Commissioner. She and her whole staff was out there. Shout out to Sister Hattie Whitehead, who represents the people that got done wrong by the University of Georgia in the Lennon what they did in Lennontown, Georgia. I was about to say Lennontown massacre. I guess it was a massacre when you think about it, an economic massacre to take people off of their lands and then never compensate them properly for it. Shout out to the pastor whose last name was Slaughter. I can't remember his first name. Shout out to Brother Rashad Singleton, who came through and spoke, gave a powerful, powerful speech. Like I said, that if y'all see the pictures, some of the pictures we put up, I'm used to being the tallest dude in the building. This dude was making me look like a midget. Like I'm 6'4", 230. This dude was making me look like a midget. I'm like, damn, right? But it just goes to show that all type of people, of our people, are getting in this movement, as we just mentioned with the millionaires and the billionaires, right? But this particular brother came and spoke. Shout out to Sister Tamara Johnson Shirley. Shout out to Brother Ibrahim and his consort. Shout out to Sister Dawn. I love Sister Dawn. Her energy is just great. She just got that Freedmen energy, is just in all of her words. Shout out to Brother Arthur Ward and Sister Cynthia. Brother Marlon Watson, Arthur Ward got up there and shut it down. Arthur, if you listen, I'm still waiting for that email, bro. I was like, damn, Arthur Ward had me standing there like, I should have typed up my stuff. I mean, because we was gonna have everybody break everything down in categories, and Arthur Ward hit on everything. I mean, Arthur Ward hit on everything and like really shut it down, man. He really, really shut it down. So I definitely want to give a shout out. Sister Cynthia was supposed to go on, but so many speakers got on. She was like, so you don't need me? I was like, damn, my bad, sis. Because, you know, it was hot and I know I was hot. I had one water the whole time and I was burning up, man. Who else spoke, man? I think I could shout myself out. Right? Can I shout myself out? Even though I didn't really speak, I was a little intimidated. I was like, damn, I was serious when I was cracking them jokes about Toastmasters. I was like, I got to step my public speaking skills up. Everybody got up here and went in. Sheesh. Ty Harper, brother Ty Harper, definitely. I didn't even bring up earlier. That's right, Sister Constance, brother Arthur Ward had that 10-point program. Yo, that's how we gonna put that thing up.
We need. If anybody has the video,
Yeah. Sister Tamara has it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna download it, and Men's has a copy as well, but he doesn't have the whole thing. So we gotta he gotta have the whole thing. He doesn't have the whole thing. But let me give a shout out to let me give a shout out to brother Ty Harper, because I didn't even mention earlier, he got on the mic and shut it down as well. He got on the mic and shut it down as well. He went all the way in and he helped organize everything, man. You know, the freedmen were out there working. The masters of making a way out of no way looked at the situation and said, this is how we can do this thing better. And it went the way that the freedmen wanted it to go. And I loved it, man. I love every last one of y'all. And, shout out to Sister Constance. She didn't speak, but she was one of the sisters that came through. She let it be known I'm coming through. I'm bringing some shirts. I'm donating all. I was looking at my Cash App and I was bugging. I was like, why am I getting all of these Cash Apps that say 4 shirts? And then somebody was like, no, Sister Constance is giving the people the shirts and she's telling them to send it to your cash. I was like, oh, because I was just like, it was so much going on. I didn't know what was happening. So I want to give a shout out to Sister Constance, her mother and her sister and her son for coming through, and her brother that came through the next day. Shout out to y'all.
Yes, shout out to Sister Constance.
That's right, brother. I said Ibrahim. I'm trying to think of who else without forgetting nobody. Brother Jerry, his wife, and his son came through. I think I shouted out.
Shana.
Yeah, I shouted out Sister Cherie already.
Sister Shana.
Fear, this brother.
LaFair
Ward.
Yeah, LaFair.
Fear this one that's on Twitter. Yeah. Shout out to that brother. Sister Shana came through. It was a couple of other people on Clubhouse from Clubhouse Sisters that was there. I can't recall their names at the moment. Shout out to them. We got it, man. All right, yeah, I'm gonna send you an email, brother Arthur. Yeah, brother Marlon. Brother Marlon got up there and shut it down. But I've heard brother Marlon speak before, like on video, so I knew brother Marlon was going to come with some fire. I knew brother Marlon was going to come with some fire. Shout out to the Freedmen. Shout out to the Freedmen. We did the damn thing, family. It was a success. It was just nothing but love, and we're gonna keep continuing on. We're gonna keep pushing. Again, if you want to support the platform, go to usadof.org. Show some support. For those that missed what I said earlier, I didn't know how the cash out option worked on the GoFundMe. So there's no cash out button when you have a nonprofit. and you set it up through what's called PayPal Giving Fund. So it's not like some same day cash out. You have to either wait for them to mail you a check, or they make deposits every 25th of the month. I didn't receive that. So, but we're gonna leave that up, and what's in it, we're gonna leave up, and we're gonna put that to the next event. So, I appreciate every last one of y'all, man. Hold on, I forgot my brother Cato. Shout out to my brother Cato. I couldn't wait to meet brother Cato. Brother Cato came through. Shout out to that brother that carpooled with you from, I think he was from New Jersey or New York. I can't remember his name at the moment. Shout out to that brother. Is there anything else we can do to help spread Tamara's name? Can we maybe try getting her a Fox Solar? Yeah, we're gonna work some things out over these next couple, man. We're gonna definitely work some things out, man. But shout out to brother Cato for coming through. Everybody, man. It was people we met on the street right there. They walked right with us to the to the plaza. It was like, okay, sure. They was there the whole time watching the event. So, we we definitely want to give a shout out to everybody, man. I just got a funny message in the back chat. I had to laugh. Okay, yeah, brother Tyrone was his name. Definitely cool brother, man. It was just love. Brother LaShawn from Boston. I remember he's on Clubhouse as well. Peace, brother Kirk Harris. And so, look, we're going to end this thing. Let me scroll back up. All right, I'll still be able to see it. We're going to end this thing. Brother Josh, brother Ali, I have anything y'all want to close with?
Yeah, peace. I just want to say peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all's time. Because the one thing about time is that one thing that you cannot get back. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Brother
Yeah,
Josh.
I just wanted to step in for our brother Logic. I know we in this program.
Shout out to my brother Logic, man. He'll be back in a couple weeks. He'll be back. He's he's doing some things. He's doing some things right now.
Yeah, very important things. Very important.
That's right.
So and respect to the brother on that. But I just wanted to say his piece on here, and that is government is the game and politics is how it's played, and peace and reparations to the family.
Peace and reparations, family. So look, y'all, we're going to leave y'all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.